Hi everybody, and welcome to this evening's information night with myself, Dan O'Matney, and I am going to talk about the certificate and the BSc in Counselling Psychotherapy. So first, I just want to start off with just a bit of background about PCI College, who we are and what we do. Then I will move into talking about the certificate program, and I will talk then after that about the BSc program. So both of those programs I am a graduate of, and I also now work for the college. I've gone through the process of both courses and graduated with both of them, and now I'm an employee of the college. So I'll go into that after we discuss the content of both programs. I'll go into a little bit about myself and the opportunities that came my way and my experience of being a student on those programs. So who is PCI, and what do we do? So PCI was established in 91 by Josephine Murphy and Liam McCarthy, and Josephine Murphy has made, as did Liam, a lot of contributions to the field of counselling and psychotherapy. Liam sadly passed a number of years ago, and PCI honour him with the Liam McCarthy Scholarship. So that's awarded then through a process to a student that will give them an exemption on fees for the BSc. So that scholarship is in honour of Liam and the way he paved a path for the rest of the therapists that train in PCI, including myself, and then all the contributions that Josephine Murphy has made to the field and to PCI since opening. Okay, so what do we do? So we're a college that specifically and is dedicated to the training of counsellors and psychotherapists. So that's exactly what we do. It's exactly what it says in the tin. We don't train or offer education in other avenues. It's just purely counselling and psychotherapy. Okay, so we offer cert programs. So we offer from cert then right up to masters, and then we have a lot of CPD, so continual professional development courses, and we also have a lot of professional certificate courses. So we have like the professional certificate in couples work, in group facilitation, in creative arts. So they're all on the website. So if you ever want to have a look at those, or anybody that's interested in those, they're all on our website. So so a little bit more then, I suppose, about the college, what we do and how we do it. So we do have a high academic standard, okay, because it is a degree. The BSc is affiliated with it's awarded by PCI and affiliated then with Middlesex University. So it's a Bachelor's of Science, so there is a high academic standard. However, there's an awful lot of support for our students, and while the academia is really important, there's a focus. PCI's focus on the education is experiential learning. So it's although the academic is really important because it's Bachelor's of Science, there's a good balance between the academia and then the experiential learning. So how you learn from each other and how you develop then yourself as an individual. So all of our lecturers on both programs are all practicing counsellors, psychotherapists, psychologists, and some are supervisors. So as I said, we are affiliated with Middlesex University in the UK. So and that would hold the same merit as an Irish university. So the degree is stamped by Middlesex University, and the education then is delivered through PCI College. We also have professional accreditation and course recognition from the National Counselling Society and the Irish Association for Counselling and Psychotherapy. So I would say the big benefit of PCI is that we have small class sizes. It's always been that way, and I imagine that's the way it's always going to be for PCI. So even the way a class will be situated, so the class is situated kind of in a semicircle. So we have those chairs, with the little desk attached. So it's not in, what would you say, it's not a big scary lecturing hall, university hall with 50 to 100 plus students. And then the class is situated then so that the group can process with one another, learn from each other, everybody can see each other and can engage with each other, and then also it's continuous assessment. So PCI really believe that while you're going through the process of your cert or your BSc, and you're developing yourself, you're developing then, if you go on to further study as a professional. So it's continuous assessment. So there's no exam, let's say, at the end that would determine a grade or how you do. You're assessed on each module at a time. So there's an awful lot of student support. So we have the Girls and Student Services and receptionists. So they do remarkable work for the college. They would deal with all the, let's say, all the queries that come in from the outside, and then they answer what they can within their department, and then they navigate it on then to the relevant person or department within the college. So then you have student services, then you have programs office. So they would be in charge of all the assignments aspects, so all the e-submissions, any assignments that come in, due dates, how to submit them and stuff like that. So you have a department that's for that. Then you have each class then will elect a student voice leader. So that student voice leader is really what it says, you know. So they will advocate for their class, and they will be called into certain meetings, you know. So the college will want to know, how is your group getting on? How are they finding their experience as a student at PCI College? Is there anything we can do? Have you any concerns? So, you know, student feedback is really, really important, because the college try to implement that each year. So at the end of every module then you have feedback forms. So that's our student feedback is very important, so that we can best facilitate education. And if there is any concerns or there is any difficulties, we can look at those and say, okay, so what can we learn from that? Is there anything that we can change going forward? So you also then you have a core tutor that's assigned to each group. So you will have 2 progress review meetings per year with your core tutor. So that's a very kind of informal check-in. So your core tutor will maybe be one of your lecturers then in your course. That's usually what happens. They will teach you as well on the BSc. So they will check in with you, you know, how are you doing? How are you finding your time with us? How are you finding the course material? Depending what year you're in your training, how are you finding your client work? How are you getting on your personal therapy? How are you finding your external supervisor? So yeah, the progress review meetings are it's a good link between the student and the college then, to see how you're finding your feet and that on your chosen course. You also then have your year heads, and then you have your program leader. So you will have somebody, so that we have a program leader then on the cert. We've year 1 head, year 2, year 3 and 4. And then you have a program leader for each program, and then you have head of counselling psychotherapy. So that's all our faculty and our lecturers, and they all do a stellar job, you know. Their responsibility then for each year head is to coordinate all year 1s, all year 2s, any issues in that are escalated to them. And then we have the program leaders, who are really dedicated to their programs, you know, to the module materials, how it's being delivered. They check in then with all the lecturers, you know, what's your feedback like? How did your group find this module? And it's just ongoing feedback to make sure that the courses that are being delivered, the feedback is received into the college, and what can we do with that? So feedback is a big part of it. So you have separate departments for a lot of things in PCI College. So I suppose we're like an engine, and we have all different parts, and we all have our different roles, to make sure that the students receive the best education that they can in the field of counselling psychotherapy. And then we have our client work department. So that is for when you're signed off to start your clinical work. So that facilitates you in finding a placement either in your locality where you work, if you choose to go that route, or in your locality in whereabouts where you live. So it just depends on how you can fit in your client work. Some people like to do it after work, so they say, well, I live here but I work in this location. Have you any recommendations there? Or I live in this area, so it would suit me to when I get home, or have a day off, or the weekend, or whatever the case may be. So over the years, the client work department have established a lot of links with a lot of placements throughout the country, for all our different venues, you know. And then we're always open to students coming in with new ideas, so we can absolutely have a placement vetted for you and to see if it's suitable, and it meets the PCI college policy protocols for ticking the boxes on what's appropriate for you to practice and begin your clinical work. So what's some of the student benefits then with being with PCI College? So you have access to SAGE and the Middlesex university library. So that will help you then with all your assignments, your referencing and stuff like that, your recommended reading. And then, the modules that you cover, everybody that comes into this is really interested in the field. So, you might do a module and you'd say, there's a certain area that I want to read a little bit more about that. So you've access then to the library with a multitude of texts that you can touch base with and familiarise yourself with. So that's a really good resource to save you having to buy an awful lot of books. So that's a real help financially. Then you have the student portal then once you become a student. So you have access to timetables, the handbook, which is like the PCI College Bible. Everything is in that from the time you start studying to the time you finish with us. You have your e-submissions like that. That's linked in with the programs office for your assignments and stuff like that. And then you have access to the module material. So a narrative of the module, the breakdown, what's expected of the learning, the assessment and recommended reading then, so that you can access the Sage and the Middlesex University. And also then you'll be given Microsoft Office as part of your studentship. So that gives you access to Word and PowerPoint, so for your to help you with your college work. So that's another financial aid, I suppose, that helps you. It saves you another thing that you have to purchase. And then you have, as a PCI student, then you have discounts off your CPD. So I'll get into that with the BSc, because it's a certain amount of CPD that you have to cover. So you have a discount then once you're a student on those, which is the clinical requirement for the BSc. So that's the student benefits. Let me move on then now. We'll start to discuss the certificate programme. Okay. So the certificate programme is accredited by the National Counselling Society. It's a really good, solid kind of foundation in the field of counselling psychotherapy. You get an understanding. I'll go through there's 2 modules and I'll go through them then in further detail, but you get a good kind of solid knowledge base of the profession. Where did psychotherapy originate from? Where's the profession going? What has developed over the years since it originated? So you get a good understanding of what the profession of counselling psychotherapy is. And also to mention that people that sign up for the certificate programme, it's not only for people that want to go on and do the BSc or want to become therapists. Some people purely do it for personal development, and it's a really good piece just to do it for yourself, because not only do you do the theory, there's a big piece on personal development, so you developing as a person. So a lot of people do it for themselves. I know when I done it, there was about 18 of us, and not everybody wanted to become a therapist. So there were some teachers, there were some social workers, some people worked in HR, some people work with the public, so developing communication skills and stuff like that. So I'll get on to the module narrative. So there's just a quick question that's coming in there. So this will be posted for 24 hours. So if you missed the live, you'll be able to check back in then and see. And then if there's anything else that you have, any outstanding questions that we don't cover throughout the live, you can always email us at info@pcicollege.ie or inquiries@pcicollege.ie. Okay, so moving on then. So the certificate is delivered then as a weekday or a weekend option. So you have an evening or a weekend. So that's a bit of flexibility for people to fit it into their own life that, have the intention of wanting to do it, either as a standalone or wanting to go on. So it's being able to fit it in into your life. And also it's delivered in class contact. So you attend class for each day you attend, or you could do the blended learning. So that's blended learning online then with 2 class contact days. Okay, so let me have a little, let me pull apart, I suppose, the modules. So it's 2 modules. So module 1 is personal development and an introduction into skills. So like I said, the personal development piece is about you becoming aware of yourself, so self-awareness, self-reflection, it's more knowledge on you as a person and developing a better communication style within your life, within your relationship, within your family, within your friends, within your professional career, whatever that may be. And then you also get a little chance then to practice some counselling skills. So I've reflected on myself and I've got this self-awareness. So let me practice that active listening. Let me practice what it's like then to sit and listen to somebody in a different form, with that active listening that I'm actually developing that skill. And then Module 2 then is a further chance to develop some counselling skills. And then you also have then the theoretical background. So as I said, where counselling and psychotherapy came from, what is developed in the field over the years, and where is it going to? What's the new waves of therapy? So, and then at the end, you have an integration day that pulls it all together. So, yeah, it's a really solid foundation course for anybody that wants to go on to do have a career as a counsellor psychotherapist. But it's not only for people that want to become a therapist. You know, a lot of people do it for personal development, as I said, for an array of different jobs. And they find that, you know, it really helps them enhance their job and how they communicate with their colleagues, or, as I said, in your interpersonal skills, and then also with yourself. You know, a better awareness of who you are and what you want. So there's 2 assessments then, I suppose it's important to mention. There's 2 assessments. So one of them is a book review on one of the theorists that you'll cover. It's a very I wouldn't say basic, because it's a significant assignment, I suppose, but it's pass or fail. You know, it's not marked at degree level because it's certificate. You know, that's your foundation in the work. So you wouldn't be expected to write at a first year degree level, at cert level. And then there's also a self-reflection piece. So you submit a piece on how you've grown through the course, and how you've got to know yourself, and what you've learned about yourself as a listener, as yourself as a person. So yeah, it's a really, really nice piece, because a lot of people kind of don't realise till the end of the course. They say, wow, I've really learned a lot about myself, you know. And then they have a good grounding to say whether, yeah, I think I actually want to go on and pursue this then as a career. So just to mention then, we have a summer certificate starting on the 6th of June. I just have to make sure I get my date right, because I don't want to be giving out the wrong date. So the 6th of June is when the summer cert starts. So that gives people the opportunity then, if they do want to go on to the BSc, that they have the entry requirement then completed with the summer cert. Or for people that, you know, we're in a strange time and maybe you just want to do something for you want to do something different. So yeah, I absolutely loved my experience on the cert. I had no previous experience of counselling and psychotherapy, and I done my cert, 8 years ago, and I absolutely loved it. And it was kind of like that for me. I was like, wow, if I've learned that much about myself and I've learned that much about the profession on the cert, I can only imagine what it's going to be like when I pursue onto the BSc. So that's the cert. So let me move on to the BSc. Just let me check these questions and see if there's anything I can answer. How about looking to work with children in play therapy down the road? Okay, so that is a separate, you would need to further study. So PCI offer an MSc in child and adolescent therapeutic skills. So you can absolutely look into that, you know. A lot of people like to do the BSc. Yeah, and if they're not sure that they want to do child and adolescent, some people do the BSc and change their mind, and then other people can go on to do the MSc. You know, there is entry requirements onto the MSc. So some people that have a primary degree, maybe like a degree in psychology or nursing or social care, can have course exemptions, module exemptions on the MSc. So you would have to check in with the college about that. So yeah, it's not necessarily for everybody that you would have to do the MSc or to do the BSc to do the MSc. Sorry, this is the thing about these lives. You can't stop them when you're tripping over your tongue. You just got to keep moving with it. So yeah, or just to answer your question, that yeah, you could possibly go on to the MSc if you had a primary degree. Or yeah, as I was talking to a girl recently who has been on the cert course, and she said, you know, I'm a psychologist and I do want to work with children, but I definitely want to do the BSc because I want to have that solid foundation and have the option then to work with adults. What else? What other questions are there? Is it possible to pay monthly payments for the cert program? I'm not sure. I know there's I know there's a direct debit plan for the BSc, but I mean, if you check in with the college, they will absolutely let you know about the financial plan for the CERT programme. I'm not too sure myself, so I don't want to give you incorrect information. Sorry, Roisin. Is the summer CERT all done online? So at the moment, yeah, for the moment we are delivering it online through Microsoft Teams. So that's the platform that we have been delivering the rest of the CERT, because a lot of the CERT program started in class, and then obviously then we had this COVID-19, this pandemic. So yeah, we had to shut down our face-to-face tutorials and interaction, and we had to change over to online. But students have, obviously at the start, students were like, oh, it's going to be very different, but the feedback has been great. You know, students have just been delighted to be able to continue their education with PCI, to be able to continue this, because it takes an awful lot to kind of say to yourself, okay, look, I'm ready, I'm going to sign up for this. So then the pandemic just transpired into the works for us as an organisation, as a college. We've never had to deal with something like that before. So we delivering the modules on Microsoft Teams, so it's a very secure forum, and it seems to be working really well. Both students and lecturers are very happy with it. Yeah. So that's the question so far. So let me move on then to the BSc. Okay, so the BSc, as I said, we're affiliated with Middlesex University. So your education will be done through PCI College, and you will be educated by PCI College lecturers, but your degree then is affiliated and validated by Middlesex University in the UK. So as I said, the UK degree holds the same merit to an Irish university would, like the likes of UCD, DCU, whatever. So, and also that is accredited, and this course recognition with the Irish Association for Counselling and Psychotherapy. Okay, it's integrated training. So the process of the training, we draw upon the 3 skills of counselling and psychotherapy, which is humanistic and existential, CBT, so cognitive behavioural therapy, and psychoanalytic. Okay, so each year will specifically, it's not the Pacific Ocean, as I said with the lives, you can't pause it and say that again. So each year will specifically focus on an area of therapy. So I'll go through each year as a separate, separately, and then I think that's best because it gives you a snapshot into what's expected of a student from each year. Okay, so but before I get into each year, I want to talk about the clinical requirements. Okay, so the clinical requirements, this 24-hour CPD, and as I said, if you're a student of PCI, you get a student discount on PCI College's CPDs. So 18 of those are continuous professional development. That's what the CPD stands for. So 18 of those are CPD, and then 6 of those are personal development. So what's the difference, some people ask. So let me give you an example. So an example of a CPD with PCI College would be an introduction into motivational interviewing. So that would be a CPD. And then the professional development would be, let's say, Taming the Anxious Mind with CBT, CBT for weight management, life writing skills is another one. So they would be classed as the personal development, and you don't have to do them with PCI. You can do them externally, but they have to meet the PCI requirements for the CPD protocols. Yeah, and then you have 50 hours of personal therapy. So that will be with a therapist of your choice. So usually we would recommend looking up on the IACP website or the IAHIP website, because they have to be an accredited therapist for your hours to count. To go towards those 50 hours. And then as soon as you enroll on the BSc, you can start your therapeutic process. And I would say to any student, start it as soon as you can, because it's a really important process. Your personal therapy, it's not 50 hours and that's all I need to do. It's such an important process because it's a major part of the education. You training then as a therapist are going to change as a person. So it's good that it's not that it's good, it is good, but it's vital important that you have a therapist then to facilitate that change and to help you out. That's what it's there for. It's so you're minding yourself while you're studying this. It's almost like a new language. It's fascinating. It's absolutely fascinating. I loved my my time at PCI, and I genuinely mean that. I absolutely loved it. I learned so much about myself. So getting back to it, because I have a tendency to go off on a tangent. Yeah, so 50 hours of personal therapy, and then you will have 24 hours of supervision. So that will be an external supervisor that you will choose, which you will choose. Tripped over my tongue again there. Sorry. 24 hours of supervision with an external supervisor of your choice, which has to be an accredited supervisor with the accrediting bodies that I mentioned. And then you have 32 hours of group supervision in-house with a PCI supervisor. So that's another area of support then for you then. So the supervisor is then, that's the area of support then for when you start your clinical work. Yeah. So let me move on then to, I suppose, the education of the BSc. How is it delivered? Okay. So the education, the way I describe it to people, deep breaths, Dan. Deep breaths. Okay. So yeah, the educational piece is like a triangle. Okay, so that's the way I would describe it to people. Okay, so you have your theory, which is really important. As I said, where did psychotherapy and counselling come from? Where has it originated from? What's the underpinnings of each therapeutic approach? What are the skills of therapy? Okay, so that's one. And then you have the personal aspect. So me as an individual signing up to do develop and train and educate myself as a therapist, it's very important how I grow then as a person, because you will view the theory through the lens of your own life before you can look at it through the lens of a client. So that's your professional your professional integration. So you have theory, you have you as the person, your personal development, and then you have your professional integration. So that's your triangle then of your education. So each year then is delivered in those three ways to meet those 3 points on that triangle of. Okay, so year one, let's dive in then to each year. So year one, the school of therapy that is introduced and focused on in year one is humanistic and existential therapy. Okay, so you have one, as I said, one focus or one school of psychotherapy per year. And then you have the personal development, which is really, really important, especially at those early days. So the personal development, as I said, you will have started your personal development with your own therapist by that point. You will begin then exercises in the class of self-reflection. You will have a group process, so you will learn from each other. How are you progressing as a group? How are you learning from your peers? You'll understand the theorist in one way from your life, and somebody else will understand it with a different kind of spin on it from their life, and you learn from each other. And PCI really foster that. So that's what I said. Although there's high academic standards, there's a big approach on how you present yourself in the group and how you gel with each other, and every lecturer will be conscious of facilitating that. That will exercises, you'll break out in smaller groups, in dyads and triads. You'll have small groups because some people, find it hard to open up in a big group setting. So you'll have little dyads and triads of exercises, and then you can feed back to the bigger group if you feel comfortable. So you will be never pushed to divulge any information that makes you uneasy, and that any lecturer that you have will always say, guys, mind yourself, mind yourself and each other, and make sure you lean into your personal therapy. So then you have then the professional development then of first year. So that's an introduction then to further on from the cert, a further look into skills and into the ethics of counselling and psychotherapy. So what's the ethical practice? What's the code of ethics of the IACP? Because that's their accrediting body and who recognises our courses. So that's kind of year one then in a nutshell. And just to mention then, the last module then of the degree is delivered on a summer school. So that's 4 days. So it's usually Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Also, sorry to mention, the BSc is delivered in 2 ways. So we have the weekday option and we have the weekend option, like the cert. So the weekday is a class from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. So that's usually, I think, a Wednesday or a Thursday. So what it is you will have 6 classes. So you'll have 6 Tuesdays, and then you have a week off before you start your next module. And then if you do the weekend option, you'll have 2 Saturdays and a Saturday break before your next module. So it's just important that I mention that. So as I said, yeah, PCI, try and be as flexible to make it as easy as possible for you to fit your education into your lifestyle. So that's year 1 in a nutshell. As I said, it ends then as a summer school. So then year 2, then you'll come back then and re-engage in your studies in year 2. So back to that triangle. So the school of therapy that is the focus of year 2 is CBT. So that's cognitive behavioural therapy. So you will delve into the underpinnings, the theoretical approach of CBT, how that developed, and the new waves of CBT that's come in recently. The personal development, then you will do a piece which is called the relational self. So that's covering areas like sexuality, grief, loss, bereavement. So it's the personal development is developing you as a person, but also these are areas that you're going to come at when you begin your clinical work. You'll have to look at grief and loss and bereavement, areas of sexuality, because then you have to develop those. How am I with my sexuality? How have I ever had a grief or loss in my life? How did that impact me? What can I learn about myself in that? So that one day, then when I sit in front of a client, because you will develop, or you will start your clinical development and begin your clinical work in year 2. So that personal development piece, is really giving you a foundation into the issues that will come into the therapy room. So that's a really, really important, and it's a really nice piece. I know they sound really scary, like talking about grief and loss, and it does sound kind of very heavy, but as hard as it was for me, in my experience talking about grief and loss, I learned so much about myself, and so much from my classmates, listening to other people's experience of loss and how you might interpret something very different to another person. So it's constant learning about yourself. I kind of always found myself kind of sitting back saying, wow, like I never would have seen it from that way, or I never would have thought that was so important. So yeah, it's you're constantly learning all the time. So that's the personal development piece, and then the professional aspect is further skills. So you'll be introduced then to case management, as I said, ethics, the ethics of the ISAP, ethics and law around counselling psychotherapy in the country, advanced skills, your professional boundaries, and then you have two chances or 2 opportunities, I suppose, to be signed off to begin your clinical work. So that happens then. So you'll come back in, say, September, and then there'll be a sign-off process in the January, and then there'll be a sign-off process in the April. So it's a very much a case-by-case basis. It's not like, that, okay, we go into year 2 in PCI and we all start clinical work, we all start seeing clients on the 1st of January. It's not like that. It's a very much an individual process. That's why you have your progress review meetings. That is when your sign off will happen usually. So the college will ask you, how are you getting on? How do you feel? Do you feel ready to start your clinical work? If you don't, what concerns do you have? Because we all, every person you talk to kind of says, no, I don't think I'm ready, and that's just, I suppose, that self-esteem, and we're stepping into something we've never done before. You have a good support system in place. As I said, then you have the client work that you'll be able to check in with, that will help you establish a placement for yourself, which is what they do their best to find something that's in your locality that will make it easier for you to fit it in, as I said, to your already hectic lifestyle of work and stuff like that. You have 2 sign-off opportunities, and as I said, then you'll have a chance to chat with the client work coordinator of placements that will be suitable for you. So I just want to check in then with the questions. Well done, Dan, doing a great job. Thanks, guys. That's nice to know, because yeah, you always wonder with these Facebook Lives. As I said, you can't stop and start again. So if you have a brain fart or you trip over your tongue like I have done, you have to just keep rolling with it. So in many ways, this lockdown experience is a grief of sorts. Absolutely, Honor. Absolutely, I totally agree with you. A lot of people are grieving for, yeah, a lot of people are grieving for the freedom. There's an awful lot of grief with, God, I mean, the deaths of COVID that COVID have brought, and yeah, it's become a complicated process because people can't hug each other, people can't be there for each other, people can't attend funerals. Yeah, so that will absolutely bring a new wave into that module. And I have to say, as I said, the lecturers in PCI College are some of the most gifted therapists I've ever come across, and supervisors. I can't say that enough, and I genuinely mean that. I'm not just saying that because it's an organisation I work for. The reason I work for PCI College is because I believe in what it delivers. So, I know the lecturers are already on the ball, thinking of, well, we deliver a module on grief, we have to, include what this COVID-19 and this pandemic has brought. So anyway, keep it on track with year 2. So year 2 then will finish with a 4-day summer school as well. So that will be from usually Thursday, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. So you'll get your timetable when you begin, so you'll have plenty of notice of those those dates, because I worked full time as well, so you gotta maneuver things around and childcare and stuff like that. But I always enjoyed the summer school. It's great, especially depending on what you're doing. It's great to have those 4 consecutive days for one module. So yeah, that's year 1 and year 2. So let's move on then to year 3. So year 3 then, as I said, back to that triangle of education. So the school of therapy then that's delivered in year 3 is the psychodynamic approach, okay? And then the personal development piece kind of shifts a little bit. It's kind of personal / professional development, so it's focusing on really what it is the therapist or the counsellor that you are becoming. So you've done your cert, you've done year 1, you've done year 2, you've been working with clients and working up your hours. So what kind of therapist are you becoming? What kind of school of therapy are you gravitating towards? Or are you, like I would practice very eclectively. I would have a foundation in humanistic approach, but I draw on elements of CBT and I draw on elements of psychodynamic depending on the needs of the client. So that's the personal / professional development. And then the professional aspect, you have a research piece. And sorry, I forgot to mention, in year 1 and year 2, you'll have 2 online tutorials for your research piece that you do in year 3. So that's a big advantage that everybody has now to sign up for the BSc, because that wasn't something that was there when I done the BSc. So that just goes to show PCI are constantly updating their education. As I said to you, the feedback forms at the end of each module, they're not just stored somewhere, they're brought in. Somebody assesses them all, to see what we can do. And then we have a revalidation program that happens, a revalidation process for our program. So we're constantly updating the BSc to, okay, what was last year's feedback? What were the concerns? What did students feel that we could involve in the next revalidation of the progress? So we're always ongoing trying to keep up with the field as well, keep up with what's new out there in the field, and keep evolving to that dedication that Josephine and Liam had when they established PCI in 1991. So PCI are constantly evolving. So as I said, now you have online tutorials in year 1 and year 2, which gets you ready then for research piece that you've done that you'll do in year 3, because a lot of people that sign up don't have a primary degree, so they've never done research. So yeah, you're very much supported in that by the time you get to that research piece then in year 3. Okay. So year 3 then, that ends a little bit earlier. It ends a little bit earlier than the other years. So you will start then, you'll finish year 2 in the summer, you'll come back then in say September, October, and you'll start year 3, and you'll finish year 3, and I think it's around March, in and around that time frame, because then you'll start prepping for year 4. Now, you do get a break. Don't go thinking that year 3 is just jumps into year 4. So the reason that PCI ends year 3 is because you have an opportunity then to complete a workshop. So the workshop is titled Setting Up a Private Practice. So that's delivered then as part of your program. Yeah, so it's delivered by one of PCI's most talented lecturers who have developed a very steady private practice. So, you know, it discusses registering a business name, you know, taxes and stuff like that, all that kind of stuff that makes some of us go like, oh Jesus, I've no clue on that stuff. So yeah, you get a good grounding in, you know, what does it take for me to go out and set up a private practice when I'm finished my education with PCI. Then you have a workshop on your thesis, and you have a workshop on your case study. So they're the 2 pieces then that you will have to complete then in year 4 of the BSc. Okay, so let's move on then to year 4. So year 4 then will start. So year 3 finishes in March, April, and year 4 will start then in August, September. Okay, so the first thing you'll do in year 4 is you'll do an optional module. So as I said, you remember that triangle from the first 3 years. So the 3 skills of psychotherapy, counselling psychotherapy that you've covered, you will choose one of them then to advance on in 4th year. So you will do advanced humanistic, advanced cognitive behavioural therapy, or advanced psychodynamics. So you choose one of those approaches then to do the advanced module on in 4th year. Okay, and then you have your thesis and your case study. You know, and even the name of those, they put the fear of God in a lot of people. And I have to say, hand on heart, you are really supported. Okay, so you have, first of all, you have your workshop then in year 3. So that's starting the process for the thesis and the case study. Okay, so I'll focus on the thesis first. So you'll be asked then to submit a proposal. It's only 500 words. That will be submitted over the summer, just to get a flavour of what you want to research, if you have a title for your thesis, what you want to write about, obviously under the umbrella of counselling psychotherapy. So yeah, and as I would say to you, try and give as much, I suppose, because the more you give, the more feedback you'll get back. So keep it on track. The 500 word proposal on the thesis is submitted, and then you're allocated a supervisor that will give you guidance and help you through the process of your thesis, any kind of questions that you have. And also you have 2 draft submissions that you send in before your final submission. So you have 2 opportunities there to send in a draft submission to your supervisor that can say, okay, take this bit out or move this bit up here, fluff this bit up a bit more. You have to speak a little bit more about this. This section is really good, but I think you should write more about it. So you get very substantial feedback. So you have 2 drafts then, because the thesis is the bigger piece. Okay, and the word count of the thesis is 7,500 words. Okay, so that kind of makes people feel like, oh my God, this is such a big piece to write about. Okay, but your thesis, you'll do this in your workshop. Your thesis is broken up with a conclusion and or an introduction, a conclusion, and you have 3 chapters. Okay, so when you break that down, one chapter will build on the next. So when you break down 7,500 words between an introduction and a conclusion, so say that's 500 words each, just to say. So that's 1,000 off. So then you have 6,500 words between 3 chapters. So one chapter will build on the next. So by the time you get to 4th year, I'm really bad at maths. So if you divide 6,500 by 3, whatever that is, it's not really a big piece, because you would have written essays that would have added up to that word count. So I would say to you, people that haven't done a junior cert have gone on to write a great thesis, and I genuinely mean that. I've seen them, I've heard of the marks. So yeah, it's totally doable, and you're really, really supported. And then the case study. So the case study will be on a client that you've worked with through your clinical hours. You'll be given a chance to submit a draft submission. When you do that, then you'll be allocated a supervisor for that. That will give you guidance on your final submission. And the case study then I think is 3,500 words. So that's a little bit of a smaller piece. And then also you have your group supervision. So that's a great support for the case study, because you'll learn from your peers, what your peers may be writing about their clients and about their process. You'll all learn from each other in that process. So because to be about this, I think there's 3 or 4 in the group supervision. So yeah, that's a big learning curve and a big support to writing the case study. So yeah, that's year 3 and year 4. So let me just have a little check of the questions. Fab College. I was doing the course before personal circumstance put a spanner in the works, and I'm ready to return even though we'll be starting back at first year. Look, Orna, everything happens for a reason, and I do believe that. I studied up to diploma level, and then I lost my job. I didn't have the finances whatsoever to go on and do 4th year, and I took 2 years out then and went back to do my degree. I know other people that have deferred like yourself, and then but you come back with fresh eyes. If there's been personal circumstances, you needed to take time out, so I commend you on that, because that goes to show how much you're developing as a professional, to kind of say, okay, I need to step out here for myself and then come back then. So well done. Daniel, have the regulations changed in Ireland for re-qualifications? So that's an ongoing question. The regulation has been around for a long time. I remember a colleague that works at me, she is qualified 10 years, and she said it's the talk of the regulation has been going on that long. So we're not sure when it's going to come in. PCI have members on the board of the IACP, so the Irish Association of Counselling Psychotherapy, which are one of the biggest accrediting bodies for counselling psychotherapists in the country. So the regulation, I suppose, has changed the way PCI deliver the courses. So once upon a time you would have been able to practice with a diploma, but now the base level is degree. So you have to go on and gain a degree in counselling and psychotherapy. So I hope, Sarah, that answers your question. Hi, Angela. Are there many assessments in year 1 to 3? So, Angela, what it is you'll have a piece of work on every module, okay? You might have a formative and a summative piece. So what that'll mean, if you might have an essay and then you might have a short presentation. So that's the way it is. So you will enter into a module, whether it's year 1, year 2, year 3, you will enter into your module, right? So when you enter into the module, you'll get an idea of your essay title. So whether you're doing the weekday or the weekday, while you're then going through the module, you can already start kind of taking notes on what you're going to read. You'll have your essay title, so you'll kind of be picking out parts of the module to say, yeah, that's what I think I'm going to write about. That's what I'm going to include in mine. And like, as I said to you, like the triangle of education that PCI did deliver, any good essay has those 3 points in it, right? So any good essay will have a theory, so the theoretical underpinning. Here's my essay title. So let's say in year 1 it's humanistic. So I'm writing about Carl Rogers in humanistic counselling psychotherapy. So you'll write about, this is what the theory says, and then you'll have a personal application to it, especially in the beginning, and then you'll have a professional aspect of it. So you'll say, here's the theory, this is where it comes from, me as a person, this is what I've learned from the theory, and then as a professional then in the field, this is how this will enhance me then as a therapist. So you'll have a lot of guidance from the lecturers with your assignments, so don't worry. And as I said, there's people that have gone on to do the degree that wouldn't even have a junior certificate. So and then you have to remember, you start at cert, you'll move on then to year 1, you'll move on to year 2, year 3 and year 4. So it's a gradual process, and then what is expected of you academically. And I suppose if we think back to when we went to secondary school, when we were in 4th year, if we walked into a classroom after a 6th year group, you take a look at the board for a leaving cert and say, there's no way in hell I'm ever going to be able to do that. But you did by the time you got from first year to sixth year. So it's the same applies to the degree progress in PCI. You know, when you're in first year, you won't be expected to be able to write a thesis. So, you know, you'll have your webinars, you'll have your modules are delivered in a certain way to ease you into the work, and you're supported all the way. So I suppose that's really it on the course. As I said, in regards to myself, I said I'd give you a bit of background. So I done the cert and I done the BSc with PCI College. Yeah, I absolutely loved it. Really, really loved it, and I have to say, I developed fantastic friendships from it. And it made such an impact on my personal life, that I'm forever grateful to PCI. And that's no BS, you know. The reason I agreed to do these kind of talks or to work for PCI is because I really believe in it. You know, the BSc, as cliche as it sounds, it changed my life. It changed me as a person, and it brought a lot of professional opportunities to me. When I got my qualification from PCI, there was a job open and I went for it and I got it. So I mean, I manage, I'm PCI Counselling Services Manager, and I'm also the Guard Vet and Liaison Officer for the college. And fingers crossed, I will start lecturing now next year. So I've had so much opportunities from PCI, but I always said this, and as I said to you, it's no BS. I always said, if I never practiced as a therapist, what I learned about myself in my time studying with PCI, yeah, it was money well spent. It's the best money I've ever spent on me. Whether I used it in the field and went on to practice or not, it was the best money I ever spent on myself. And I remember recently talking to a guy who was on the cert, and he said, you know what, Dan, I broke down how much I spend on cups of coffee, and then broke down how much my tuition fees would cost me. And he said, like, it's a no-brainer. It is a big financial commitment. But what I'd say to you is, and one of my lecturers said it to me, and it had always stuck with me, and when I'm talking to students I always say the same. You know, a BSc in counselling psychotherapy, it gives you the set of skills to go and earn a living, but it also gives you a set of life skills, and you change as a person. Your relationship with yourself changes. I genuinely mean that. I couldn't put a price on what I got and how much it enriched my life as a person and the growth of me. I mean, one of my lecturers said to me, you know, Daniel, the person that came in at year 1 and the person that was graduated then in year 3 is a completely different person, you know. So that's from somebody else speaking, you know. And I was blessed to get a job at PCI College, who I absolutely love to work for. I work with some of the most gifted therapists and psychologists in the field. I'm very happy. But also, you know, there's about 6 or 7 of us in my group who would have stayed good friends after we graduated, and they're all doing really well. Some have developed a private practice, some are working in schools with the senior cycles, some are working for PA the House. So I have to say, my group of friends, we all did very well in making a living out of this. You know, a friend of mine had a really good job and really high paid job, and she said, you know what, I'm going to chance it. I'm going to develop my private practice, and she's doing fantastic. Another friend of mine as well was in a job for a long time, and she said, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to get out there and develop a private practice. She's doing fantastic. So it's not just me that got in with PCI that done really well. But in saying that, I wouldn't have been able to come and work for PCI if I didn't have the core training. Sorry, I'm after hitting the desk there, so we're kind of doing a little bit of rock the boat at the minute. So let me have a look at the questions and see is there anything else that I can answer. Hi, is there help available with fees like a grant or something similar? Hiya Megan, thanks a million for that. So there's no grants in a sense because we're a private college. As I said to you, there's the Liam McCarthy Scholarship, which is awarded to one student per year. And there's also a direct debit plan that's set up. So I think that's paid over maybe 42 months of the year. So that's broken down to make it affordable for you per month rather than you paying a big lump sum of a fee. And then there's also the financial difficulties plan. So what I'd say to you is if you do sign up for PCI and you come into financial difficulties, the college will absolutely do their best to facilitate you as best they can with your payments. So yeah, I think that's everything. I hope I've covered everything, and I hope I've given you a little snapshot into a real person and a real person's experience at the college. As I said, absolutely, it has changed my life, and it was the best decision. It was the best decision that I've ever made, studying for PCI. Oh, actually, Megan, now that I think of it, you can claim tax relief on your through revenue on your tuition fees. So yeah, you can claim back your taxes, which is great. And I think it's actually, no, I'm not going to say the percentage and pretend I know because I don't know. I think it's 10% of your fees. So I mean, if you're paying 3,000, it's 300 that you're getting back, better in your pocket. So yeah, you can claim tax relief on your tuition fees. So I mean, you could let that build up and you can claim 4 years retrospectively. So yeah, that's a bonus, being able to claim that back. So yeah, I think that's everything. As I said, guys, this will be available. As I said, I'm not the most techie person, so hopefully I put it up, I post it. That'll be up for the next 24 hours. If there's any questions, please do give us a shout, give us a call. Reception's number is 464-2268. You can email us at info@pcicollege.ie. You can, if you have any inquiries, you can send them on to inquiries@pcicollege.ie. If you want to get my email address off the college and you want to email me directly, I would absolutely be happy to answer any questions that you may have, any anxieties that you may have about starting to study. I would be more than happy to answer them for you. So yeah, if there's anything that I didn't cover, I hope I covered everything. And as I said, I hope I've given you a bit of an authentic snapshot into somebody that's personally done it and has got absolute fantastic opportunities since graduating. So yeah, spread the word, let anybody else know. Keep tuned in to our Facebook page. There will be other Facebook Lives on other courses that we have done if they haven't covered it already. There'll be a lot of information up. There'll be a lot of tips. We're delivering PCI talks twice a week from our lecturers, and just tips of how to get through this pandemic and the difficulties that has been up. For example, our lovely Una Hogan has been given mindful tips on how to look after yourself, and simple things of just being mindful, stepping into the present, focusing on your breath and stuff like that. So let me have a look. There's a couple of questions coming in here. Hi Dan, is this year in course? Sorry Emer, I don't understand. Can you type that one into me again? I'll hold on to listen from you. Sarah Murphy, thanks, very informative, thanks a million. Here, Dan. There's Ashlyn. Ashlyn was a graduate with me, so she can vouch for, how much we've gained personally from PCI. Emer, if you can send me in that question again. Hi Dan, is this? Sorry, Emer, I'm not sure exactly what you're asking me. Do you mean are the courses going ahead? Everything is going ahead at the moment. Our courses that have been running so far, as I said, have switched to online, so they will be delivered then through Microsoft Teams. So look guys, as I said, I think I'll leave it there. That's kind of long enough. I've gone off on enough tangents and tripped over my tongue an awful lot of times. Sorry about that. But as I said to you, it is very nerve-wracking to do a live because you can't stop and start. Yeah, so I think that's everything. As I said, hope I covered it. Any questions, get in contact with us, either by phone or by email. Emer, the year-long course, do you mean the cert, is it? The cert runs is a year-long course, yes. So the cert would run from September until maybe March, April, I think. That was the way it was when I done it. And then the BSc then is first year September to the summer of the following year, and then year 2 is September to the summer of the following year. Year 3 is September to around March, and then year 4 will start then the same calendar year as year 3. So you'll have year 3 will be September to the summer. Or no, sorry, year 3 will be September until March, April. Then you'll have year 4 will start in the August that year, and then that will run up until maybe March of the following year. That will be your last submission into the college. So Sarah asked, what is the course in June? So Sarah, the course in June is the certificate, which is really, as I said, it's delivered in the same way as the BSc. So you'll have, it's a good grounding for it's a good grounding for if you want to study the BSc, or if you just wanted to do it for yourself. So the course in June starts on the 6th. That is the certificate in counselling psychotherapy. Sorry, Sarah, I think I caused a bit of confusion there. Yeah, so on the 6th of June is the cert in counselling psychotherapy. So is that not a year-long course, Sarah? So the cert the summer cert is, so we do a year-long course. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. So we have a cert, and then we have what the summer cert. So the summer cert is done. It's delivered. You'll have more class time than you would. So if you're doing the year-long cert, you'll have classes once a week, and then for the summer cert, you'll have maybe 2 classes a week. So it kind of doubles up. So what it does is it gives people an opportunity that may want to go on that year for the BSc. Is the cert a personal journey with a view to carrying on to the BSc? Yeah, the cert is very much, the focus is on giving an even amount of what counselling psychotherapy is about, practicing the skills, Emer, and then it is very much personal development, a personal journey, and that's how a lot of people would describe it. As I said to you, a lot of people would purely do it for themselves, and what happens sometimes is a lot of people go in not knowing or thinking they mightn't want to go on and do the BSc, and they get that kind of, it's dipping your toe in the water, and you think, actually, I've gotten so much from this year, I think I might want to go on and do it further. Thanks, Mark, for that. For giving me a little. I'm sorry, I forgot. I should have mentioned the intensive cert with PCI. So look, lads, I'm going to leave it there because I think I'm kind of gabbing on a little bit. So yeah, I'll finish on that now. As I said, it's very nerve-wracking doing these lives, so I'm sorry if I've repeated myself or if I've tripped over my tongue. So listen, thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned to the page and feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. Have a nice evening, everybody. Stay safe. Take care. Bye-bye.